I love that it gave a softer, naive, youthful energy to the film because, again, we all have a girlfriend or a sister or cousin or something like everybody in this movie. And I loved that TT was, when I think of her, she was the quintessential young mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I imagine that TT was like a church girl, right? She went to church and she was like a good girl and she went to prom with this boy and lost her virginity probably, you know, and thought they was gonna be together forever. And then he left her. And now she got this toddler at 21. Because TT was so young, like she was the one who felt the youngest to me in the group. Like it also felt like to me that maybe like we all noticed Stoney and Cleo went to, like they've been knowing each other. We go back to his first grade, you know? So they grew up together. Frankie, I imagine came in a little later into the friend group. But I imagine that like TT was a freshman while they were seniors. You know what I mean? Like that's how you feel about her. And that like something about, you know, what happened to that poor baby. Remember, like I just imagine us, like, you know, as like 18-year-old, yes, like we're around the hood and we hear about what happened to little TT, and it's like, y'all hear how, you know, how Michael did to Sean. They can't even believe that. Michael just walked out on her and now he disappeared. Like he moved. He back in North Carolina with it. Like that's the conversation that happened. And then poor TT was left behind. And then we was all like, we got you, TT. Like I feel like that's what happened, you know? And I love that there was that element again of that there's so many different versions of what a black girl is. And that good girl, the good girl, and that when we, again, what America sees though, right? How America sees that woman, and what they're seeing is that the DC, that's why I love, again, it was the lens that we were looking at the system, and how the system can be the antagonist to our protagonist of black women, right? And that system was how they looking at her like a neglect in the workplace, right? And she was like, but I can't afford a babysitter. So how am I gonna, I gotta work so I can afford to take care of my baby, but I can't afford a babysitter because work don't pay me enough. So how am I gonna, what am I supposed to do? And that system of like, but what she was a mother who would do anything for her baby, right? But what the system saw was just someone who had gotten pregnant too young, don't know how to take care of her kids, you know, trying to, you know, live off the, like all those stereotypes. And I loved that we got to see sweet TT, a mother who loved her son, sacrificial love, and also the innocence, you know, that everybody who has a baby young, and again, not judging somebody who does, right? Because that's okay if that happened too, but just that everybody who has a baby young, it isn't because they were promiscuous. That was a big thing in the 90s, right? Promiscuity. It was all about, remember that was also when we started fast. Ooh, she's so fast. It was also a time when we really were, that was when condoms were like, you know, we were really starting to talk about condoms and like using condoms. TLC was out, you know, doing the condoms on it. Yes, it was very big that like, oh, we have to start thinking about using condoms, not just for STD protection, but also because we were trying to like combat the rampant teen pregnancy. Yes. So anyway, I just like that this was a teen pregnancy or a young mother that wasn't through the lens of like, you know, that girl who had the 3 different baby daddies or whatever. Again, a stereotype, but I'm just glad that we saw a different version. Because that still could also be human. You know what I mean? There's a human story to why is a woman with 3 different men, and what was the journey of each of those men that we thought it was gonna work each time probably. And then it just didn't. Again, I always love how we talk about the woman in that and like what she da-da-da-da. And it's like, what about these men that keep getting into situations with, like, why is it her fault? Somebody had to impregnate that woman. And what she is doing is still with these children. So she's looked at as, you know, that woman with them 3 kids. But it's like, well, where's that daddy who ain't with none of them kids? Why are we mad at her? But I just loved that what we did get to see with TT was, I think we saw motherhood, right? That's what she represented. She represented motherhood as opposed to sisterhood, right? And the idea too of just sacrificial and selflessness. She was also the only one first time I remember who walked, remember she ran out. She was like, I can't do this show, because she was worried about what would happen to her son. So remember, the only thing that pulled her in, right, was because they took what was his name? Juwan. They took little baby Juwan from her. So then she was like, well, without my baby, now I'm gonna go rob this bank with y'all because I need the money to get my baby back. So I just feel like, yeah, she wasn't willing to do this craziness if it meant she might lose her son. But the fact that she lost her son anyway was what drove her to do this.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's so good.
Mm-hmm.